Well, good morning, my friends. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Today we got chapter 12, Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. Let me take a nip of coffee and we'll get right into it. Oh, that's so good. Nothing like actually, this is my second cup of coffee this morning. But there's nothing like that first sip of the second cup. Anyway, Fiercely Happy, Chapter 12. This one is called The Fear. Note, this is where I put a mild trigger warning for self-harm, but frankly, this whole damn book and life in general deserves a trigger warning. Sorry about that. Some stories aren't meant to be told. There was too much blood, I remember thinking. I could feel it dripping down my neck, and I ran to get a towel, applying pressure to the cuts along my scalp. "You okay in there?" Victor asked quietly from the other side of the bathroom door. I was fine. I was bleeding badly, and I felt relief. The pressure in my head was gone. The pain in me was floating away, making room for a pain so much easier to bear. The panic was fading slowly, and I told Victor I was okay and that he could go back to bed. But I could already hear him fumbling with the lock on the bathroom door. He was an expert at picking this lock, and I knew I turned the page. Only had a few seconds before he'd be in. I shoved the bloody towel in the cupboard and turned the sink on to wash my hands. Too late. Victor walked in. The look on his face, I could never quite place it. Resigned, angry, scared? It was probably the look I'd have on my face if I allowed myself to feel those things. But I didn't. Instead, I cut. Not with a knife. I chose a weapon much more personal and more punishing. I chose me. I can already tell this one is going to hit close to home. If you've been following my YouTube channel, you'll understand why. Mental health is a very serious thing, again, which is why I read this book to you folks. Anyway, continuing on. It wasn't really a secret anymore. Victor had known I had hurt myself for years, but it had never been this bad. I picked at my cuticles until they bled, but so what? So do lots of people. I picked at my scabs when I was nervous. It's gross, but not unusual. I pulled my hair out by the roots, and I couldn't stop until large handfuls were on my lap. I scratched my scalp and forehead deeply with nails specially filed for slicing. Victor would grab my hands while we lay in bed to keep me from doing it, but I couldn't stop myself, nor could I explain it. Impulse control disorder, trichotillomania, dermatillomania. Hopefully I pronounced those right. That's what the shrink called it. She said it wasn't uncommon for people like me with anxiety disorders and avoidant personality disorder. I thought she was wrong. I'm fine being labeled with anxiety disorder. I'm perfectly fine. It's just my anxiety that is disarray. But personality disorder? That meant broken. But I'm not broken. I explained that to my psychiatrist. I just hurt inside. And when I tear at the outside, it makes me feel less torn up on the inside. She nodded, waiting. I don't want to die. She waited. Really, I don't. It's not a lie. I'm not suicidal. I just feel like sometimes I can't keep myself from hurting me. It's like there's someone else inside of me who needs to physically peel those bad thoughts out of my head, and there's no other way to get in there. The physical pain distracts me from mental pain. She waited. It sounds crazy when I say it out loud, I whispered. Sometimes I think I might really be crazy. If you were crazy, you wouldn't realize how crazy it sounds, she said gently but insistently. You're recognizing a problem, you're getting help for it, the same way any person with a medical problem would. My hands itched to pull my hair, but I forced them to lie on my lap. There was dry blood under my nails. This is why they put you people in straitjackets, I thought to myself, to stop them from hurting themselves. And then we started a very long process of behavioral therapy, of drugs and meetings with doctors. I read books with 12-step programs designed to stem unhealthy needs. Sometimes the impulse ended with a twinge. Just thought that I needed to scratch to hurt myself, and then I was able to stop myself by redirecting the thought. Sometimes it was harder, and I'd wear rubber bands around my hands, slapping them against my wrists to mimic the pain of cutting without the risk of infection, or worse. Some nights I'd find myself hunched over the kitchen sinks, crying pathetically as I forced myself to squeeze handfuls of ice until it burned like I'd stuck my arm in a fire. And sometimes I'd relapse. Those nights are dark. They shine like broken glass in memory as I flirted with danger and allowed myself to cut and bleed and shed pieces of this body that has so betrayed me. Sometimes Victor finds me the next morning with bloody hands or a thin spot in my hair. I'll have to comb over, and he asks me, "Why can't you just stop?" He asked me why I would victimize myself intentionally, and he looked at me as if he thinks I could actually explain. Short chapter, folks, just letting you know. I can't even tell myself why I'm this way. I just know that is how I'm made, and maybe one day someone will crack open this head of mine and find out what is wrong in there. Also, what is right, because it's both. Without the dark, there isn't light. Without the pain, there is no relief. And I remind myself that I'm lucky to be able to feel such great sorrow and also such great happiness. I can grab onto each moment of joy and live in those moments because I have seen the bright contrast from dark to light and back again. I am privileged to be able to recognize that the sound of laughter is a blessing and a song, and I realize that the bright hours spent with my family and friends are extraordinary measures to be saved, because those same moments are medicine, a balm. Those moments are a promise that life is worth fighting for, and that promise is what pulls me through when depression distorts reality and tries to convince me otherwise. Maybe the scales that weigh everyone else's emotions don't work for me. Maybe my scales are greater or less. Maybe instead of a scale, I've wandered off to one of those nowhere places where you wait. And maybe one day I'll find out, and someone will explain to me why I am the way that I am. Or maybe not. After all, some stories aren't meant to be told. That is the end of chapter 12, folks. A couple things I kind of took away from that, or wanted to say, I guess, is why can't you just stop? Victor said. Victor is her husband, in case you're just joining or haven't been following. But just stopping something like that, it's just not possible. That's like asking a sad, depressed person to just be happy. Well, golly gee, don't you think if I could just be happy, I would? Sometimes it's not that easy for a lot of folks. I've often said that I'm pretty strong-willed, and I feel I have mild depression, and I feel I deal with it pretty well, hence all of the hiking on my channel. It helps my mental health. It makes me feel not worthless. It clears my mind, makes me think straight, brings me back to center, I often say. Let's see here. What was the other thing? What did she say here? I don't know. I can't find it. I remember now. So when she talks about her family being the light to her dark and laughter is a song, this is true. I've noticed in my times of despair and depression and sadness and hopelessness and feeling like nobody wants me around, that being around my very small circle of friends and my family makes me happy. It brings me out of that darkness. So when I tell you to be around positive people and get rid of toxic people, it's true. Those toxic people are going to do nothing but have bad behaviors and judge others. And granted, we're all guilty of it on some level. But it's a good idea to get rid of those toxic people. You may see the good in them, but after years of hanging around with them, you'll probably realize that they'll never really change. Some folks sadly do not change. They don't care to change. You cannot change if you do not want to change. I firmly believe that part. So don't be around toxic people. Be around the good people that love you for who you are, for your thoughts, for the way you look. They don't judge you. They just genuinely enjoy your company, because that's what I do. Miss Mindy has brought a lot of happiness to my life. She makes me laugh. Sometimes the way she talks, we talk to each other in terrible Russian accents. It's something we do, and it's fun. And I think it's gotten to the point now where that's just the way we talk to each other. And we started talking to other people that way, and it's not good, mind you. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed chapter 12. This one was called The Fear. And I hope you took something away from this. This was a little bit more serious chapter in the book. We are approaching, I don't want to say halfway through, but we're probably a little over a quarter of the way through the book. We still got a long, long way to go. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you all are well. Until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, and y'all please be good to each other. We'll see you in the next chapter.